This topic is really straightforward. You have to learn how to draw a Lewis diagram. A Lewis diagram is just the symbol, those two letters, with dots around them. Not that bad. Okay, so let's check it out. So these are the symbols of the elements. What you'll notice is when they have two letters, the first letter is always capitalized. The second letter, if there is a second letter, the second letter is a small letter. That way we can tell the difference between maybe, certain things might have two letters and you might be confused if they're both capital. Is that two separate elements touching, or is that one element that has two letters? So the rule is always capital letter, small letter if it has two letters. Okay, now back to Lewis diagrams. Let's write what this is so that people know. Lewis diagrams. Okay, and we're going to draw our Lewis diagrams in red. So, turns out to draw a Lewis diagram, first you draw the symbol. So the symbol for hydrogen is H. And then you have to draw the number of electrons on the last shell. That number, we call it the valence electrons. Okay, so if we look at hydrogen, on its last orbital, it has one electron. And we're going to draw a dot for that one electron on top. We're going to do helium. Helium, I draw the symbol, capital H, small e, very important. And it has two electrons on its last shell. So now here's the thing. You start at the top, and then you draw dots, one on each side going around. Do not draw the two dots together. Beryllium, it has four. Do I draw four dots? No, I do not. Why? Because for a Lewis diagram, I am only drawing the valence electrons on the last shell. These are on the first orbital. On the second shell, I only have two. So the Lewis diagram for beryllium is actually the same as the Lewis diagram for helium. Okay, moving on. Boron. Running out of space here, but boron. How many valence electrons does it have? With this format, it's actually easier to see. It has three on its last shell, so I'm going to draw it over here. B, I start at the top, and I go around. That is the Lewis dot diagram for boron. For neon, how many do I have on the last shell? Now this one's a little bit different. Why? Because on the last shell it has 8. You could draw the Lewis dot diagram like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 2 on each side. Or you could draw it just as neon. Because depending on how you look at it, the second orbital is full with 8, or the third orbital has none. Okay, magnesium. Let's think about this. On the last orbital, it has how many, and what do we call it? Valence electrons. It has 2. So magnesium, 1, 2. Pretty straightforward, I think, at this point. Phosphorus. Phosphorus has 15, but it only has 5 of those things that we call valence electrons. Are you paying attention? Okay, 5. So I draw the symbol. Let's do it over here. And I start at the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And lastly, calcium has 2 valence electrons. 1, 2. There you go. You know how to draw a Lewis dot diagram. Lewis would be proud. Okay, I just wanted to mention one last thing that I forgot, okay? And it's kind of cool. So let's look at the ones we did, and let's look at the periodic table. And let's look at where these are located in the periodic table, okay? So, and see if you can spot the pattern. Hydrogen. Hydrogen has 1 valence electron. Hydrogen is right here. Helium has 2. Helium's kind of the outlier. It doesn't follow the pattern so well, so we'll just put him in brackets. But beryllium. Beryllium has 2 valence electrons. Boron has 3. Neon has 8. Are you seeing a pattern here? Magnesium has 2. Calcium has 2. Wait a second. Beryllium has 2, magnesium has 2, calcium has 2. If you number your columns, we call these the groups in the periodic table, and you skip that middle section, which isn't so important. 3, 4, number these, 5, 6, 7, and 8. If you find your element there, you will know how many valence electrons it has based on the group it's in. The weird one is helium, but for the rest of them, it works. Hydrogen is in group 1. It has 1 valence electron. Beryllium has 2 valence electrons. Phosphorus, let's see. Phosphorus is in group 5 under nitrogen. It has 5 valence electrons. Magic.